universities in there. And these are a few of those. Obviously, the slide wouldn't fit all the logos, but this is not really something I want to focus on. What I want to focus on is some real success stories where we believe, this was a success story that we can talk about. One of them is ASEC. ASEC is a student organization, student insurance organization in Montreal, and they.
Hi, Harsh, can you repeat that?
I'm hearing my echo.
All
right, I think it's better now. Okay, it stopped. There was a loop that played, for my sound, so I had to stop. All right, so ASEC, as I was mentioning, is an organization in Montreal. It's a student. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, Harsh.
There is, again, I'm hearing my loop.
Do you have another device next to you?
No. Just give me a second.
Now we cannot hear you.
Now?
Yes, now.
Okay, I'm gonna reshare my screen. There's something that I think I was hearing my echo before. So I hope it doesn't happen again. All right, so moving on. ASEC, as I was mentioning, a student insurance organization. No.
Are you still hearing your echo? I'm.
Yeah.
Well, those 15 seconds are, the delay between the live and what you are sharing. But not sure why. We just have the keynote session.
Yeah, I should not be hearing my own echo, right? Or my own voice. Is there something?
I cannot think on a reason unless you have another session open, or can you just go disconnect and reconnect again just to. Okay. Una disculpa ahí por los inconvenientes. Harsh va a salir y entrar nuevamente para evitar que se escuche el eco. Mientras tanto, bueno, pues agradecerles a los que están en la sesión y pedirles que revisen la agenda. Es una agenda bastante extensa. La van a poder encontrar en cualquiera de las sesiones. Si ustedes dan un clic en Join Session, van a ir a una lista completa con todas las sesiones y el link directo para unirse a la sesión. Entonces, bueno, Harsh, you're back, so let's try.
Yes, let's try one more time.
Okay, now.
Is it okay now?
We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'll go through the a few success stories that I'd like to talk about today. For example, for ASEC, it was an RFP that was opened up, and we won the project on approach, not on technology. So what does this mean? Since it was an RFP, we went with another implementation, another company for implementation, and we were against a gold partner that went with Microsoft Dynamics. The customer actually ended up selecting us. They said they want to work with us, but they want us to implement Microsoft Dynamics. And we have expertise of Microsoft Dynamics. And then we did end up implementing that project with Microsoft Dynamics. It was an on-premise implementation, multiple million records. It was some complex ASP logics, and it was a legacy desktop-based system to 365. There were database performances issues. So all in all, to say, even if our true value that our customers realize is not necessarily just in our technical knowledge, as I was saying before, is in our approach and is in how we deliver our projects. Obviously, we have very capable and knowledgeable employees in the organization, or consultants in the organization, but our true value is what business knowledge they carry and the methodology with which they implement projects. Another one was, and it's still ongoing, Barrett Outdoor Living. It's a construction industry. So construction industries compared to other industries are, not as tech savvy as other industries are. So a lot of the effort is focused on change management. Now, as an implementation team, mostly what we would be thinking is, we're structured around just implementing a CRM, but not necessarily. At Solutions Metrics, we are more focused on the success of the overall implementation. Sometimes it might be a low complex technical implementation and high complex, business implementation, which means it might need extensive change management, training, user adoption, and sometimes vice versa, where it might be, a more technical implementation and low on the change management. But we believe no implementation is successful without, making sure these two areas of change are focused or managed properly. We're focusing on a phased approach, a high user adoption. We are, in order to manage change well, we went with the approach of using, multiple Power Apps. So, for example, we are around at 20 apps to make sure they have a very dedicated and specific area in which they have to work. Multiple integrations, and the same thing that was there with ASEC. We are serving the project as a true partner that focuses on the success of the customer and not so much on just finishing up an implementation. So business and technical, our secret sauce. This is where I wanted to get to sooner than later, because this is the meat of the conversation. So you may have heard this before for companies who already have a CRM implemented. It feels like we're paying too much for our CRM. My sales team is still not logging their activities. The issue is with the data. It's making my work less efficient, or the reports are useless. Some of the things that we consistently hear from a lot of the prospects and a lot of people who we are starting to work with. And more often than not, the issue is not with the implementation. The issue is not with using the best practices out of CRM implementation. For example, whether you ended up using the business rules versus JavaScripting, whether you use flows versus plugins, issue is not there. The implementation is generally the less concerning area. The more concerning area is how the implementation was managed. What was the end-to-end methodology for managing the implementation? That's where we come in. So our methodology focuses on everything from pre-sales to optimization. So we go from pre-sales to ideation to agile delivery to deployment to optimize. The area that I've highlighted here is where we believe we add a lot of value to our customers and we can bring a lot of value. What are the two big areas here? One is the CRM platform selection, and one is what we call as inception. Inception is not something that we invented. It's a disciplined agile delivery model from IBM. However, we have tweaked it to make sure it serves a CRM implementation needs the best. So platform selection, as you know, we have consultants that work with multiple platforms. We have an evaluation criteria. I'm going to share high-level evaluation criteria that we use, but we will engage with you in workshops, in sessions to gather information and then present with you an assessment report, which will give you a recommendation on which CRM should you go for your organization. And the different criteria that we have, I'll share it with you soon. And the next part is about inception. Inception as well, we'll go a little bit deeper later on, but this is what helps build your CRM strategic roadmap. More often, we've seen that companies would go in with an implementation, will start, and then we keep figuring out what to do next. However, sometimes what the risks around that is sometimes you miss a key stakeholder in the process. Sometimes you miss a requirement because it was not brought up at the right time. Sometimes the organization just doesn't know when the project is going to finish. What are the next steps in the project? Who are the resources that are going to be implicated? So all of those concerns are addressed by inception, and we baseline your current situation through which we can see what are the gains we are achieving. Because just jumping into an implementation, is not the ideal step, because how would you be able to track what your efficiency is? How would you be able to track what the true ROI is? If you have benchmarked your standards right now or baseline them, then we can make sure that we can check it again, once implementation is done. And that's a true idea of efficiency gains or productivity gains that we can measure. So through an inception, we will build a list of capabilities, return on investment baselining, and a CRM roadmap that will tell you from start to finish what is planned to be implemented, how many hours are going to be spent on what are the resources that are going to be implicated, what is the process, what is the methodology through and through. So the organization who is having the CRM implementation done, they have a full visibility on the entire process, and there is no guesswork along the journey. And you have full control on where you want to tweak it, what you want to change, what you want to keep, so on and so forth. And this is underlined by the change management piece, where we start changing, we start adopting, we start managing, and then we start optimizing it. Okay, agile delivery is something that everybody in IT knows, and most of the organization, including Solutions Metrics, we are doing it. We are an agile center of excellence, so we do follow agile a little bit more closely. But this is something which all the organizations are doing. But the highlighted part is where we are just not like any other implementation company, because we are doing things a little differently, because we've seen a lot of success while doing that. Now, getting to the details of the platform selection. So how do we say it's a match? 4 basic areas, and there's obviously a lot of stuff inside that. First is license costs. Now, are you an organization whose main focus is to deliver a full-fledged Microsoft ecosystem versus an organization that only has 5 users and has a very small use case, a very specific use case, and you are very cognizant about the licensing cost? There are different solutions that are available, and our job is to make sure we fit the best solution that meets your needs. Functional needs, that might be a sales use case, service use case, commerce, field service, CPQ, marketing, whatever the use case is, we will dig deeper into your specific capabilities, and then we will match it to the capabilities, out-of-the-box capabilities of the existing platforms. Ecosystem, like I said before, what kind of ecosystem are you working with? This goes to how the adoption will be, because let's take Salesforce versus Dynamics. They have a different UI, they have a different look and feel, they have a different backend technology that you need to manage, right? For the infrastructure team and for the end user, it has a different impact. So looking at what your existing technology is, and does it make sense to combine all of that, will also help us put forward a recommendation on what CRM should you be going with. And the last is change management. Change management is defined by how easy or how well the change is received in the organization. And one of the key components of this change management would be to understand what the change appetite for the organization is. So is it a high-tech organization in terms of, let's say fintech, or now, insurance is also becoming quite technically advanced, or is it some organizations like manufacturing or transport who are still on the upward curve of transformations? So that's also another aspect that we keep in mind looking at your industry landscape to make sure we are recommending the best CRM solution. Other components that go into the evaluation is obviously the industry analysis. For example, we do believe in Gartner's reports. If let's say it's a specific field service scenario, we know Microsoft is a leader in the Gartner quadrant for that specific a functional area. So yes, it does weigh heavy on that aspect, because one is our analysis and evaluation of the organization, but it is also important to know what the industry is saying and what the experts are saying about the different platforms. Microsoft, as you all know, is showing a lot of promise in this area since the last 4 or 5 years. And with the advent of Power Platform, with the advent of different apps, it has truly become a leader in all these different offerings that the customers are looking for. So that's something definitely we keep in mind. The roadmap of the actual organization to keep enhancing its product is another criteria. So again, if you're more curious, or if you just like to chat around what are some of the detailed criteria that we use, we can also share with you, a template of our report that we produce. And then, we could definitely have more discussions. But this is one part of the ideation phase, that is, the CRM selection. The other part to that is, all right, we've said, what, for your organization, Dynamics 365 CE works perfectly. It's a match. It's most suited for your needs. Then what happens? Then the process of building a strategic roadmap starts. What's the difference in building a strategic roadmap versus delivering? First of all, it's the approach. We work on a top-down approach versus a bottom-up approach. Top-down approach means we'll start from a 50,000 feet of your understanding of what your strategic goals are. What does the organization, or what the leaders of the organization, wish to achieve by this investment? Then it goes one level down to the department level objectives that are obviously have to be tied to the strategic objectives of the executives. And then we look at what are the capabilities that they're looking for. How do we do that? We look at how do you do things today? What are the critical pain points? Understanding the global scope and all the stakeholders involved. And we would try our best to make sure that all the stakeholders have a say during this process, because that is what helps us do prioritization of capabilities. Again, the prioritization session happens in a standard, way through Moscow and T-shirt sizing, which are, some of the common prioritization ways the industry follows. The workshops are aimed at system demos, shadowing, documentation, organizational contacts, so on and so forth. Through all of this, and also we give you best practices on what you're doing right now well, or what we should keep, what we should try to optimize more, where is the lack of integration, where are the core issues. So there's a consulting that happens as we do requirements gathering as well. What is the end objective? To present a release plan. Release plan is what we call a strategic roadmap, where we will tell you, okay, release 1 for your organization, you should do this, release 2 this, release 3 this, release 4 this. In release 1, if you have to make the project successful, these are the resources that you need to be involved on your side. These are the time investments that they have to give. These are the availabilities. This is the overall duration that the release 1 should stay. So as you can now start to understand, it's really a roadmap on how you're going to get from your current state to your future state. It's no guesswork. It's no, voodoo magic. It is just strategically planned roadmap to execute. It also has a change plan linked to that. Where does your organization need to get involved in what change activities throughout the course of the project in order to make it a success? So that is what we end up putting at the end of inception process, as opposed to just discovery workshops. Okay, there's a component of discovery workshops in the industry where this is also done, but not at the level which we will do here in building a true release plan, knowing what the end objective of the executive leaders of the organization is. And because we have that understanding, any specific requirement comes from any business unit, we will link it to the end objective of the project and make sure it's in line with what the executives need. So we do act as, the validation team for any requirement that comes, because we have had that understanding about the strategic vision, the business capabilities, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is how we end up building that strategic roadmap for you. And then, you know what? We also challenge our customers sometimes to say, once we build this roadmap, then comes the easy stuff, honestly. Then comes the stuff, where any of the partners, including us, can just take that roadmap and just do the implementation. Because implementation, and what we've realized over all these years, is not it's not so the complex part, because we are all very technologically, inclined, and we're following, what is happening with the ecosystem, what is happening with the technology, how it's going forward. But this piece on knowing what to implement when and how to structure a roadmap, that is where, we feel the true benefit comes from our involvement. So, once this roadmap is built, then it's just implementation, which, we discuss. It's the agile delivery. Then, we deliver using agile methodology. And then once it's delivered, then, we start doing the optimization stage. So these are the two components, which I really wanted to touch today. There are ways you can select or you can evaluate which CRM will meet your needs better. And because Solutions Metrics is officially a partner with multiple CRMs, we are in a good position to help you do that. We are not the ones that would always come to you and say, even though Microsoft or Salesforce, these guys are the leaders, do these platforms meet all the needs? 99% maybe yes, but there might be a scenario where, another platform might be better suited for you. So as an objective partner, or as an objective consulting organization, our job is to make sure the best CRM solution is implemented inside the customer's environment that meets their needs. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And the last is managing change. So how do we ensure that, change is managed well in the organization? Be it change around CRM implementation, be it change around, different motivations that need to be managed, or different conflicts, so on and so forth. Because at the end of the day, it is not just a technical implementation, it's a change process that the company is undertaking. Unfortunately, change management has been one of the most underrated aspects of all implementations. We are generally more focused on, just making sure the implementation design, the implementation techniques, the best practices around implementation are followed well. And in scenarios which we are talking about enterprise implementations, whenever change is not managed properly, it is almost guaranteed that there will be low adoption. And as much, great design and, great structure we put in place, if there's low adoption, the end project would be deemed not as successful. Okay, so how do we make sure that on all our projects we follow a standardized structure that helps us manage change and ensure that user adoption is high at the end of the project? So first of all, we are going to identify change champions inside the organization that are going to be leading this change along with us, because at the end of the day, we are an external company. We need to identify change champions inside your organizations. Those change champions are going to establish a sense of urgency within the organization, that there's a reason we need to change. Their job is to amplify the current pain points inside the organizations, because sometimes what ends up happening is, if there's a pain point and if we've been through that pain point long enough, we start accepting it. We start saying, you know what, it is what it is, and maybe this is the best way to do it. But then the aspect of change champions is to amplify that there is an issue in the organization or there's an issue in how we do work. Creating a guiding coalition, making sure, the teams that are directly impacted by these issues are aligned and making sure that they understand that there's something that needs to be done with it. Develop the change vision, starting and getting them on board around what is it that the company is doing to fix this issue that they are facing. Because again, one of the key questions that are always asked to us is, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? Why should I change my ways of working? Why should I use a new platform to log my activities? Before this, I didn't log my activities. What should I spend that extra 2 minutes, to log that email, log that phone call, log that, appointment in CRM? So that's the whole point that comes. If they don't understand why they need to do it, guess what? It'll be hard for them to do it because they need to know what is the end value of this. Communicate the vision for buy-in. Again, this is where you're engaging from a department to an organization. Empower broad-based action. So this is where, we start coming into picture where we say, all right, you know what? In order to have the issues fixed, this is your strategic roadmap that will help you achieve those business objectives, that will eliminate those pain points for you. Okay. Generate short-term wins. How do we do that? Through the agile delivery model, because we focus on release-based approach. So release is a small functionality that we can push out to production where the users can use it and they can see the true benefit out of that functionality. So short-term wins, it also keeps up the motivation. And as in every project, and everybody would have realized it, there would be times when the tough gets going, right? Or the going gets tough is what they say. But that's where, the motivation from the change champions and the change leaders need to keep coming in. And we partnered with us to make sure that people stay aligned to the goal. It's going to be tough sometimes, but if you all work together as a team, it is going to get done. So that's where we work with the change champions on the customer side to make sure we never let up. And the last is incorporate change into the culture. How is this done? This is done by typically doing trainings, by effective communication from the senior leadership, by monitoring how they're doing their stuff, by getting their feedback, by optimizing and improving the process, because it has almost never happened in my career that you do a first deployment and this is how things will remain. Things will get optimized, things will get tweaked, things will get better. We need to have those channels open after an implementation to make sure that once people really start, or once your employees really start consuming the platform the way it should be, we are there to listen to them and make sure we can provide or they can provide feedback and we can incorporate that feedback to optimize the platform. This is the only way to make sure that they will be motivated to keep using the platform and at one point will become ambassadors of the platform. Okay. And once you have people who are ambassadors of the platform, that really means your change management has happened properly and your users have adopted to the platform. That is a true measure of success of a CRM implementation, because now people are using it. What are they using? What we built? What did we build? We built something that was derived from the business capabilities. Business capabilities were derived from a strategic vision. And because all of that is linked, if your users are truly using your CRM, we know that it's a successful project. Okay, so that's our standard process that we use in all our projects to manage change. And I just switched from this, the one point that should come across is I have very seldom spoken about our expertise or technical expertise in different platforms. That's something, I did not want to be the focus of this small presentation, because I can always show you the number of certifications, our resource pool, and you would see at a glance, it's very easy for you to see that we have very senior consultants for all our CRM solutions. And we do believe in taking the best of consultants and even improving them after they join the company. But what you would not see is our methodology and our approach towards successful implementations. We it's, let's say we do focus on, making sure that everybody is up to date with the certifications and changes. But the core focus for us is everybody understands what a successful project looks like. Nobody goes in with a mindset saying, okay, if I've implemented CRM to the best of my capabilities, it's a success. No, we will go above and beyond with our customers to making sure that they understand what needs to be done on their side as well in order to ensure project success. Because until that is done, like I said before, a project is not really a successful one. Okay. That's how we manage change. And that is all I wanted to present today. If you have any other following questions around how do we, or more questions around the CRM selection process, or around our inception process, where we help you build a strategic roadmap, please reach out to any of these phone numbers here, or email us at sales@solutionsmetrics.com, or visit our website and schedule a free consultation. Our team would be happy to speak to you. And for people in South America, or North America as well, we do have consultants who speak English, French, and Spanish. So if you have a company that runs in Spanish, it's not a problem. We have consultants who are trilingual, or who are at least bilingual with English or French, English or Spanish, Spanish or French. So language will not be a problem. And we'll be happy to take any questions that anybody has, either on the methodology or on our selection process, or even to look at our team and how strong the team is, or what more can we offer to the table in order to drive digital transformations for our customers. Okay. That's pretty much it on my side. If anybody has any questions, we'll be happy to take them.
Gracias, Harsh. Thanks, Harsh.
Thanks,
So
Sergio.
we didn't have questions so far, so I'm just gonna save something on Spanish just to wrap up something here. Bueno, pues muchas gracias, Harsh. Bien, la verdad es que me parece muy interesante cómo la organización en la que trabaja Solution Metrics, pues toma más allá de la plataforma y la tecnología y se enfoca más en otro tipo de necesidades para entender cuál es la mejor plataforma y tener a un socio de negocio que está realmente haciendo una unión entre la organización que busca implementar un CRM con un partner que está tratando de orientarlo. Entonces, muy pocas veces o raras veces he visto organizaciones que tienen personal certificado en múltiples plataformas, y eso creo que da más confianza de decir, no importa la tecnología, yo puedo darte el apoyo que necesitas en la implementación. Entonces, bueno, si las personas que nos están viendo conocen alguna empresa, organización que esté haciendo o esté buscando implementar CRM y todavía no estén tomando una decisión por alguna tecnología en específico, bueno, pueden contactar a Solution Metrics en los números que están ahí o visitar su página, solutionmetrics.com. Y bueno, pues obviamente ya Harsh nos dijo que tienen personal que maneja francés, inglés y español. Entonces creo que el idioma no sería un problema con las implementaciones. Well, Harsh, so thank you very much for your time and this explanation and details about how the organization helps customers. So I think it's very, very important to understand how you work together with customers. So really appreciate your support for the event and for the LATAM community. So hope we can see you, in another event.
Sure, looking forward to, and it was very good collaborating with you, Sergio. Thank you once again for having us.
Perfect. So This session was recorded, so we can check later on our BizAppsLatam YouTube channel. So please attend all the different sessions we have. Next, we have something about Power BI and liquidación de IVA in Power BI also. So both in Spanish. So keep an eye on those sessions, and thank you very much. Muchas gracias y bueno, pues revisa el link de las charlas para que veas todas las que están disponibles y puedas seguir atendiéndolas. Tengan un buen día. Oh, Harsh.
Yes.
No. Okay, no. Just thank you very much for the session. Thanks. Okay, have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.